This video briefly covers the new features of KEATS implemented through the new design of the 2.8 upgrade introduced in December 2015. The new version of KEATS introduces a new form for the text editor called the Atto editor. This is a simpler, more elegant design with some added features on accessibility. With regards to the accessibility features, there are two new buttons. These buttons are useful in ensuring that the text we have entered meets specific accessibility criteria. In other words, that the information contained in the text or images is also accessible to people with visual or hearing disabilities. The icon on the left is the accessibility checker. This function checks for accessibility problems. You simply need to click this button to perform the test. The icon on the right is the screen reader helper. This function checks compatibility against a screen reader. These are tools used by visually impaired users which read the text on a page for them. For example, if you have an image on your page without an alternate text description, this could potentially throw an error. The gradebook has been enhanced with a filtering mechanism. This allows you to filter out the users based on their first name or surname. This should increase the usability of accessing and interacting with the gradebook. Restrict access options. Some new options inside KEATS allow you to limit the access to resources and activities based on specific criteria. There are two locations where restrictions can be applied from the course page and inside the resource or activity settings. From the course page, when you turn editing on, a new icon appears next to resources in the course page. This allows you to restrict access to that activity based on groups you have previously defined. By clicking on these icons, you can cycle through the different options, which are analyzed below. No groups. There is no restriction to specific groups. Every course participant is part of the community. Separate groups. Each group can only see the members of its own group. Visible groups. Each group works separately, but can see each other's work. Inside the resource or activity settings, you can also define specific restrictions to accessing resources and activities from the respective settings page. Using this functionality, you can set criteria for access. These criteria can be date. You can set a date range for when a resource or activity is available. Grade. You can limit access to a resource or activity based on the grade received for another activity. For example, a student might not be able to view a document until they have received a passing grade in a quiz. User profile. You can restrict access based on information the user has provided in his profile. For example, this can be either the email address, name, hometown, etc. Restriction set. You can also define nested restrictions, i.e. restrictions within restrictions, to construct more complicated logical criteria. This video briefly covered the new features of KEATS. You can also find a printable copy of this document on the staff support page on KEATS.